Hello and welcome to Buzz Unfiltered. This is the first episode of a new podcast here coming to you from Vail, Colorado, where we talk with local legend Buzz Schleper from his ski shop here in Vail, which has now been in business for more than 40 years. I'm joined by Buzz Schleper and his son Hunter, and I'm your host, John LeConte. I'm an interviewer with the Vail Daily, so I've been called in on this special assignment to ask Buzz some questions. And Buzz is a guy that a lot of people look up to in Vail because he gets so many days on the mountain and he's still getting after it after all these years in Vail. And in fact, last season he skied every single day of the ski season. And I think, Buzz, a good place to start, having in mind that you're still so active on the mountain. How did it all start for you? What are some of your earliest memories of ever skiing in your life?
Well, I grew up in Minnesota, little ski area called Powder Ridge in Kimball, Minnesota, which wasn't too far, 18, 20 miles from my hometown. And all rope tows, which it was cool because they took you up fast and you skied down and just kept doing loops. But, we started on some ancient equipment by today's standards, cable bindings and just the bare minimum, leather boots, lace-up boots. And that was the start. But I got my start because of my dad, and he used to ski the riverbanks around St. Cloud, hike up and ski down because the riverbanks were quite steep and long on the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
So that's where the start really came from, is my dad. And we just skied as a family. We'd ski every weekend. Eventually, he opened a ski shop in St. Cloud called the Ski Cellar, as in Cellar, because it was in a basement. And that's where I got my start. And he passed away of cancer when I was a freshman in high school. He was only 38 years old. And we ran the ski shop through high school. But backtracking, we always went on our Easter break before Vail was here, we'd go to Breckenridge. And Breckenridge was a little undeveloped in those days, so we would ski mostly Arapahoe Basin. But we'd also ski the Breckenridge Inn. I can still remember the balconies and the look. I think it might even still be there. And so every Easter, on our Easter break, we'd spend a week out west. And once I got the taste for the mountains, we kept skiing in Minnesota while we lived there, but I knew someday the mountains would be calling my name.
How old were you at this time when you were making those family trips out west?
Well, I was in grade school, and, I'm kind of ancient, so I don't remember how old I was.
Yeah, but...
your dad was still alive, so...
Yeah, so before 65, I was born in 51, started skiing about five or six from what I remember.
So that means that you've been coming out here to the west for 60 years?
More than that. 60.
Yeah.
60, 65 years probably.
Yeah. Wow. So, then getting to Vail and finally deciding that you're gonna live here. Had you ever lived in any other ski towns?
I did. When I finished high school, I went to St. Cloud State University for a quarter.
A quarter.
I did do a week of the second quarter.
What was your high school life like? Let's step back just a second here. High school?
We would ski every night. Powder Ridge had night skiing. So we had our friends from Dassel, Minnesota, and Hutchinson, and Annandale, and we'd all meet at Powder Ridge, ski. To start with, we just skied, and then we started jumping. There was a big knoll on Gunpowder, the name of the run, about 300 vertical. And so we were jumping. And then we got bored with jumping, and we started ski racing. And it was really only long enough for slalom. GS, there was maybe 8-10 gates is it. But slalom, we could set a pretty good bamboo course, and we just skied. The minute we got there, we'd set a course, go up, rope toes, up and down, skied thousands of gates in a winter.
How'd your mom like you skipping school to go skiing?
Well, we didn't really skip school. When we'd get home from school, we'd say, yeah, we're going skiing again tonight. She goes, well, do your homework first. And we always said, Mom, we did it in school today during study period, which I never did any homework. I was lucky enough to get pretty much straight A's in grade school. High school, I was a slacker because I didn't do homework and still got B's. But I never did homework. We just went right to the ski hill.
And these were lit up at night?
Yeah, they had lights.
Yeah.
I mean, 300 vertical. You don't need a lot of lights to light that up. But
and you would set these courses yourself?
We would, yeah. We started the race team at Powder Ridge and just coached ourselves. Actually, I went to Pepe Gramsheimer's ski race camp up in Red Lodge, Montana. So in the summer, it was in June, and we'd do a couple sessions, and we'd learn how to coach because of their coaching us. It was Eric Seiler and Andro Molter and Pepe, and so we got some good basics, and we progressed fast because all we did were ski gates.
And so meeting Pepe in Red Lodge is what gets you to Vail then?
No.
Skip a long time, probably till it full circles, I would imagine.
Well, like I said, I moved to Aspen first, and then Sun Valley, and then Vail. But the reason I loved the West was because of my dad. After Vail opened in 1962, we started coming to Vail because he was around till 65. So we got a little taste of Vail. Aspen was fun. The nightlife was, I turned 21 in Aspen. And but the skiing it's great, but there was something missing in the skiing. You've got 4 mountains and 4 different types of skiing. And then after that, Sun Valley, Ketchum, Idaho, they didn't have the early snow. And I can remember quite well because my birthday is January 31st, which is coming up. And there was no snow. They quit selling ski passes. So I had figured out a way to sneak in versus buy a ticket every day. And we would cross the river a couple miles downriver, or was it up or down? I don't know. Sun Valley, and I'd more or less cross country in on my alpine skis to get on the other side of the river where they didn't check tickets. They checked tickets on the other side of the river. So I skied Sun Valley the whole year by sneaking poaching. But as the true ski bum I am, I never got caught.
Hold on a sec. I heard you had some altercations there in Idaho. I heard you got arrested there.
No, I wasn't arrested. But because of the lack of early snow, I was by myself. I went on this little, I had a van and a dog, and I was heading to Colorado because as of just like this year, Colorado's getting all the snow.
Right.
And I'm out in the middle of somewhere in Idaho, I believe it was, and my van, it was the starter or the solenoid or something broke down. So I parked behind this auto parts store.
I've heard this story before.
The next thing I know, bang, bang, bang on my side of my van. I open the door. I'm in my sleeping bag, and my dog's next to me. And the guy's pointing a gun at me. And what are you doing here? Are you breaking in? I'm going, no, my truck broke down, and I wanted to fix it in the morning, and this is why I parked here. And after getting out of the truck and them searching the truck for stolen auto parts, I guess, they go, okay, you're cool. And
they thought you were a thief and a drifter.
Yeah, well, I was drifting a little.
It reminds me of the movie Rambo.
Yeah, but the gun part, that was freaky.
Yeah.
Never had a gun pointed at me before, and I haven't had since. But
yikes.
So I didn't get arrested, but it was a brush with the law.
So then that's in Ketchum or in Idaho.
Yes, it was between Sun Valley and maybe Park City.
Yeah, okay.
Alta area.
And but you're making your way out here.
I made my way to Colorado. I had friends in Vail. I had friends in Copper, and they taught me how to sneak into Vail. And my friend at Copper got us free tickets because he worked the lift crew. And I had a friend that was up at Midvale. He worked at Midvale, and he goes, "Don't buy any food on the mountain. All these tourists, they order all this food and they don't touch half of it. You just come up, I'll get you lunch every day." So, I mean, the true life bum.
This is ski bum life.
Ski bum life. We had a hotel in Lion's Head, and I don't want to mention the name because you could still get away with this one, but they had a sauna, a pool, and showers. And so I was living out of my van at the time, and I would just go over there and clean up and take a nice hot tub.
Some things never change.
Yeah, something. Then, but Copper again. Like I said, I had a friend who got us free tickets. But we went down to Telluride to check it out because it was a new area, and didn't know anybody there. So back in the day, they had paper tickets, and they would always stamp one side with a 3-letter code for the day. And I was with my brother, and so we bought one ticket and said, "Can you stamp both sides? Because, they're always making me flip it over." So we cut the ticket in half, and he took one half, I took the other. So, we saved a couple bucks there. And
that's a good trick.
But, lift tickets weren't $300 in those days either.
But that's not where it stopped either. I mean, it continued this ski bum lifestyle all the way into the Olympics, sneaking into all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, you gotta know how to play the game.
Yeah.
We get to the Olympics, and my daughter, Sarah, was in the Olympics 6 times, but in, I think it was the Salt Lake Olympics, where they were only going to give us one ticket to one of her 2 events. So, being the ski bum that I am, I kind of scouted it out, found a back entrance under the grandstand, got the whole family in, and got to watch the race, sat right next to the U.S. ski team little box area and waved at them. And got to see my daughter race 2 times that winter.
I've heard some stories of Sarah at the Olympics and you getting a little irate with some of the
boyfriends.
Yeah. I mean, that's jumping ahead a bit, but
yeah.
Do you want to share any of that?
It was the boyfriend that was over the line. He was, I'm there in a room, and he's telling her how to dress out, to go out. And they're just boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah. He's mansplaining, you might say.
Yeah, that's a good term.
That's in the parlance of our times.
And, I mean, I had it up to here, over my eyeballs. And so I got her alone. I said, "I've had enough of that bleep guy." I said, "That's it. I'm done. You can't listen to him anymore." She broke up with him a week later, and a week after that won her first World Cup race. So it worked out.
Nice. Would that have been like a slalom or?
Yeah, slalom in Lenzerheide.
Lenzerheide, Switzerland, yep.
Oh, yeah, you guys, yeah. Cool.
And I think it was in 2004, if I remember right.
Yeah. Let's go back, though. See, you were talking a bit about making your way out here to Colorado, and you already knew Pepe, apparently, at this point from Red Lodge. Was that your first job then here in Vail?
It was. I actually walked into his shop and down in the basement and talked to one of the guys in the tuning shop, and because Pepe wasn't there, he didn't work down there anyway. He had a manager. But the guy in the tuning shop says, "No, we're all hired up. We don't need anybody." So I turn around and start walking out. Pepe comes down the stairs, and he remembered me. "Boss, how are you?" And said, "Oh, Pepe, yeah," because I had been to his camp a couple times up in Red Lodge, so he remembered me. And I said, "Yeah, I came down for a job, but you guys are full, so I'm gonna keep looking." He goes, "No, Jack, where's my manager? You're gonna hire Buzz." And that's how I got started at Pepe's. He insisted I work there.
Oh yeah,
And
that sounds like Pepe.
So after a few years, I was there 8 years. I was his ski shop manager, the hard goods manager in the basement of his shop, and that lasted. I worked for him for 8 years.
And and you had this experience of working in a ski shop from your dad already.
Right.
What was the name of his shop? Oh yeah, you said it already.
Ski Cellar.
Ski Cellar.
But I also worked at a couple shops in Aspen Highland Ski Shop, and I had a little run-in with the owner. My brother and I both did, and it was a powder day, beginning of the season.
Oh boy.
It was our days off.
Yeah.
And he wanted a shop meeting or some kind of meeting, and all the
Nope.
And my brother and I going, powder comes first. I'm sorry. So he fired us both. I went over to Bell Mountain Sports, which was a new ski shop in Aspen, and my brother went to Sport House Lindner. They were half a block apart. And my brother and I looked a lot alike when we were young. So people would come in and go, "Carl, you just waited at me instead of the shop down the street." And we'd go along with it. Yeah, I have to hold 2 jobs in Aspen. It's a ski town. Yeah. So, that was kind of fun too.
And then, having that experience in those shops, I think at some point you must start to realize maybe you could get your own shop going.
I mean, that was my goal. That's why I left Minnesota. It was my goal. I mean, in college, and I'm in that second quarter.
Oh, yeah,
a week
the few
into
days of that second quarter.
And going, there's 240 people per class teaching you general ed courses that mean nothing to me. I'm not doing my homework. I'm going, I already know what I want. I want a ski shop out west someday. So, it took a few years, but my plan worked out. I eventually left Pepe's and bought a shop over by the covered bridge. And there were 3 partners. And the managing partner sold out. He didn't want to do it anymore. And the two other partners wanted to sell it. So, I don't know how old I was at the time, but I was pretty young. I went to First Bank in Vail. You guys owe me for this one. They gave me a loan for $60,000 and just on my credit, basically. I mean, I was young and had no money, nothing.
Dang.
I did
First Bank. Props to them.
Yeah.
They're
from
a local
day
bank.
one. Yeah.
And
That's local supporting locals.
I'm still doing business with them.
Of course, you're loyal.
But they gave me the $60,000. I bought those other 2 guys out, took a floundering rental shop, had to replace most of the inventory. They didn't do any retail except for accessories, hats and goggles and gloves, and turned it into, made a ski wall and sold some boots and just gradually built from there.
What were some of your, early business wins that kind of made you realize, that you were gonna make it, and some of the secrets you figured out?
I mean,
if you're willing to share those.
I would want to see anybody succeed, so I'm always willing to share my.
He doesn't gatekeep.
No, I want to see everybody successful, but I don't know. I was a good salesman. I didn't oversell. I always sold good products that I would use myself for my friends or family. I wouldn't carry junk or off brands that I knew weren't going to make it. So, I just always knew I could do it. And it just, customer service really is the key to any business and anything in life. If you take care of people, they're going to take care of you.
So, what was it like bringing your kids to work in those early years?
You had kids at this point, right?
I did. I was going through a divorce when I bought my original shop, And I ended up with full custody of Sarah and Johnny, my two older kids, and
Full custody.
full custody.
And a brand new ski shop.
Brand new ski shop.
Dang.
So I'd bring them to work. We'd always save the boxes that the inventory came in, like boot boxes, and they would build forts in them.
That's hours of fun.
Hours
right
of
there.
fun.
Yeah.
Really
And
can't have
we were
enough fun.
right by the covered bridge, so it was fun for the kids. They would take their naps under the rental bench. And back in the early days of Vail, it was pretty safe world. And there used to be a chair one next to the gondola,
Which used to be the Vistabon.
which used to be the Vistabon, a chairlift. And I knew all the lift operators, and I'd say, my kids, and they were young. I mean, Johnny was 4 or 5 years old, and Sarah maybe was 8. And I would tell the lift ops, just keep an eye on them, that they're doing loops on a timely manner. Give me a call if they don't show up. Not once did they ever call me. So my kids grew up skiing like every day, and this was before school.
How many times were they under the weather for school?
Oh, well, every powder day.
Come down with something.
Yeah.
Always under the weather.
I'd go,
powder
well,
flu.
kids, you want to go to school or do you want to ski powder today?
Oh, tough question.
Yeah, it was always powder. And this was really lucky for Johnny, especially because he was the smallest. But I'd call into the school and say, "Oh, my kids are under the weather today, and they won't be in," and which was really not a lie because they were under the weather. But we'd be skiing the back bowls, and it'd be thigh deep on me. It would be waist deep on Sarah, but Johnny, he'd be
neck deep.
It would be going over his head. I'm going, man, you don't know how lucky you are. You'll always be able to remember skiing the deepest powder in your life.
What's that? Would have been red sandstone. They were
Red
going
sandstone,
to?
yeah. And then so Nancy Rickey was Sarah's 3rd and 4th grade teacher, and she'd go, "Did you ski with your dad yesterday?" And Sarah she couldn't lie. She'd say yes, and but Nancy understood.
Yeah, it's a future Olympian, right?
Well, we didn't know it at the time, but skiing is why we moved here.
So then, a few years later, then Hunter comes along, and
Hunter
a good dozen years later after Sarah.
Yeah, you're what, 8 years?
I'm 12 years younger than Sarah and
Johnny? 9 years younger
9
than
years
Johnny.
younger than
Yeah.
Johnny.
So I got remarried. Hunter came along, and same thing all over again.
yeah, at that point though, you're used to raising kids in the ski shop, and
Yeah.
yeah,
But that time with Hunter, I had a wife to help.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
But we still skied all the time. I mean, I remember Vail used to allow a backpack with your child in it. And we take him up. I mean, instead of getting a sitter, what the heck? We're taking him skiing.
Skiing with the
yeah.
baby Bjorn.
Yeah, on the front side,
The Bjorn. Yeah.
And all my kids, we did this with all my kids. And all of them would go, "Faster, Papa, go faster, faster." But after a half a run, they'd be out cold. They'd be sleeping most of the time. But it was a great way to raise kids. And I remember one time at Beaver Creek, we had the whole family. There was 5 of us on a quad chair. And Beaver Creek they wanted a photo shoot of my family. And I still have those pictures somewhere.
Five on a 4-seater.
But Hunter
Sounds about right.
He was in a pack.
Right. When I
The
think
good old days.
Yeah.
How were the good old days here in Vail, speaking of those?
They're still happening.
I can't imagine that Vail is what it once was.
Nothing is what it once was.
Well, of
though.
course, but none of us have been there, so...
It was a lot freer in those days. We had the parties on the mountain, the BB&B parties, and just,
how were those BB&B parties?
Oh, they were fun. They were fun. And, it's a shame that they had to stop, but too many people disrespected the mountain, that area where we'd have the party.
How come they did that?
they garbage because of alcohol.
Yeah,
well,
probably.
no, there was crimes happening. I've recently researched this. Yeah.
Oh, really? I never heard about
assaults and
crimes.
stuff.
Well,
Guaranteed drunk guys, snowboarders, skiers, what else?
no, I don't. You know what? I was up there for all of them. I never saw any fights. People were getting along. There might have been a couple skirmishes.
What was it kind of about? There was igloos and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what's the BB&B is like. I know
You
boobs
probably
is
know.
one of them.
Well, you could give a million terms.
Yeah.
Buzz's
whatever
boots
you
and
want.
boards.
Buzz's boots and boards. Booze, beer, and
Yeah.
Boomers.
And
babes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and boomers. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you wanted to call it.
Okay.
But it was fun. We'd go up there weeks in advance and build a snow fort.
Like an
Several
igloo.
people would do this. I mean, we had the guys next to us. We had a cutout, so we had a bar, and we could interact with our neighbors. And we'd build a little round igloo, but not quite an igloo. We used pine boughs as a roof. I remember one year, some people were indulging in the
Yeah.
fine stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The smoky
finest of
stuff.
Colorado's
And,
chronic.
And they just confiscated the pipes and the weed and didn't do a thing, you
it.
know. And
Yeah.
now
So
it's
those
legal.
are the good old days of it.
Yeah.
You know, the good old days of any ski
But-
town. Or
You know, respect to the Vail police who were really on the mountain that day for that party
Yeah.
for not arresting people for,
Right.
you know, because
Right.
for an innocent.
No, I
nothing.
recently read an old story where it was Judge Buck Allen was like, yeah, there's been more crime in town. And someone's like, well, what kind of crime? He's like, marijuana.
well, it's not a
Usually.
crime anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's what's funny about it. It's like,
Skateboarding was a crime at one
yeah,
time.
totally.
Snowboarding was a crime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snowboarding.
You were selling snowboards
Okay.
before.
We were the first snowboard shop in town. We're all ski and a snowboard shop. Buzz's ski shop, Buzz's board.
How come it's called Buzz's Boards?
Okay,
Let's
and-
start there
yeah,
because
let's-
people are
yeah.
so confused
Yeah.
with
Right.
Buzz's Boards.
So we were called Buzz's Boots and Boards originally. The shop I bought was called Boots and Boards. So it was meant to be. I just added Buzz's to the beginning. But one
Perfect.
day, after snowboards started coming around, I heard some people walk by my shop that they wanted ski rentals. And they go, oh, no, they only rent boards. It's a board shop. So I'm going, oh, I got to change this now. So we split it up, called it Buzz's Boards and Buzz's Ski Shop. So we have two shops under one roof, but separate.
Because
But
back
the
in the day,
term-
they called skis boards.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause plural.
Before snowboards.
Snowboards, that's
Yeah.
technically plural, so
Yeah.
that's kind of skis.
Right. So
And-
your boards
Were
your
skis.
skis.
Now people go, they would never refer to skis as boards.
Yeah. You told me one a few years ago, barrel staves.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the old moonshiners.
Yeah.
That's how they skied.
Yeah, the loggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The loggers, you know.
Refresh me on that one.
So a stave, I believe, is one of the curved parts of a barrel.
Of a whiskey barrel.
A whiskey barrel,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you were to take that apart into the individual staves, they would look like skis.
Yeah, for sure.
They-
And be
I don't know about look like skis, but
Well,
they work like skis.
I
reverse
mean-
cambered skis.
Yeah, Hunter
early
would
on.
be shredding those
Yeah.
things. I know that.
You know,
Yeah.
they'd only be, 3 feet long,
Yeah,
maybe.
That's plenty long enough. For
Good
Take-
enough for the
rip 'em.
Midwest
Take
where
some
you grew up.
leather, take a few pieces of leather, put it over, nail it down, and slip your boot in there.
So yeah, like that's all these terms like planks,
Yeah.
boards. So the shop was already called Boots and Boards.
Right.
You called it Buzz's Boots and Boards. Then someone walks by and says, now after the advent of snowboarding, someone walks by and says, oh, they only sell snowboards.
Yeah.
So you go, oh, dang, I gotta.
Yeah, I got to make it clear.
Right.
So now on the outside of the building, it says Buzz's Ski Shop and Buzz's Boards.
Got it. Yeah.
Because in today's world now it's boards or snowboards.
Right.
But getting back to it, we brought in snowboards 2 years before they were legal on Vail Mountain. Snowboards were illegal almost everywhere. We would send people up to Vail Pass or Dowd Junction where the sledding hill is,
Oh, Meadow Mountain.
or Ski Cooper allowed them before Vail. And so we did that for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden they were legal. My claim to fame is I was the first snowboard shop in Vail. along with my ski shop.
Yeah. And Hunter now can ski, snowboard, and snow skate. I do want to get on another topic about, because like when I think of Hunter, I think of the other sports that you guys do. You know, the lake life and the dirt biking and all that. And I was hoping maybe you could tell me about some of your non-skiing adventures.
Well, yeah, why did I get some of these dirt bike fantasies, adventures in life?
Well,
they got to stem from somewhere.
Well, when I was a freshman in high school, I went in to get my permit, my driver's permit, and I passed the test. I come out of the place. I'm looking at my license. I'm going, Mom, let me see your license. My dad was already passed at this point, and driver's licenses were a light blue color, and permits were a maroon color, a burgundy color. And I'm going, Mom, they gave me a license instead of a permit. So, I mean, I was the first kid in my high school class to have a license where I could drive alone. We ended up I bought a motorcycle, dirt bike, or my mom bought it for me because I was still a freshman. 305 Honda Scrambler. That was a cool bike in the day. And so I was driving, and every other kid had to have a parent drive with them. I could drive by myself. And boy, that opened some doors. But anyway, getting back to the motorcycle thing, that's where you got it.
Yeah.
But no, going back before that, my dad had Indians back when he was young, before he was married.
Yeah.
And Harleys. And he sold them after I was born because...
Oh, yeah.
Kids are expensive.
Yeah, he's got to be responsible now.
Yeah, I guess he blew it.
Yeah.
Those
old Indians are worth so much money now.
Even his original bike, I was looking up one of those the other day, and I was like, you definitely should have kept that when you got it for $500 back in the day.
That Honda Scrambler,
yeah
I think a little over $500.
What's the story about you going into the woods and retrieving a dirt bike?
Oh, all right. Several years ago, they were putting in new power lines.
Several, as in like 20.
Yeah, 20. About 20.
So, yeah.
So
when Vail's developing and they're putting in all the power lines and all the good stuff.
So I'm a hunter. So I'm up hunting. I run across this Yamaha. I forget what it was, a YZ450 or something, out down in this gully. So I figured somebody must have driven it down there and couldn't get it out because it was steep. They made a big mistake. There were bear claws on the tank. The tank was plastic. You could see the bear claws. Seat was all chewed up. And so I went in. They were putting in these power lines by helicopter out of Avon. So I went over there, talked to the pilot, and said, hey, how much would you charge me to pull out a bike out of the woods, on a weekend when you're not working? And he said $100 or... I mean, it was nothing.
Helicopter pilot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, this is old school Vail where you could bribe a helicopter pilot to get you a dirt bike out of the bottom.
A couple of my buddies, now I know that area well, so I knew right where it was off, the ridges and the power line. And I got my two buddies to dress in hunter orange so I could really spot it easy because, I'm in the sky. I knew where it was.
Oh, so you were in the helicopter.
And I got to ride in it on top of it. He had his cable. We lowered it. They strapped the bike up, pulled it out, brought it back to Avon.
Dang.
And
just like that.
Yeah. And it
what
ran.
happened to that bike then?
Sold it,
Nice.
Yeah. Just part of the bike.
He still has this Honda
550.
That is. I just redid, and it looks. I mean, it is insane. It's still so prime. 1979
Enduro, I guess it would be called. So I had a friend who bought this brand new 550 XL Honda. 67, I believe, was the year on it, or is it 72? Something like that.
That one.
76.
Right now, that one's a 79.
79.
Yeah, same year Sarah's born.
Okay. So a friend of mine bought this bike new. He wasn't a bike rider at all. He drove it for a week, scared the living daylights out of himself. sold it to me for half of what he paid for it just because he was so scared.
It's still mint as ever.
And I still have that bike
Wow.
today.
Yeah.
So, and then you would do these long, or maybe not often, but at least once you did like a long 3-month.
The year I
motorcycle.
graduated from high school, my buddy and I, he had a BSA. I had a 64 Harley Sportster and a little custom job on it, custom paint job. And we took off for 3 months. From Minnesota, we went to Red Lodge, Montana, through Red Lodge. Went to Crater Lake, Oregon area, and then down the coast. And he had relatives in Sacramento, I believe, so we stayed with them a couple weeks. Stayed
Sweaty
in.
sack.
I knew another guy that I worked with. His brother was a freak, and he had a parachute, tie-dyed parachute, in South Lake Tahoe, which is Heavenly Valley area.
Yep.
So we stayed with him for a month in this huge tie-dyed parachute. Luckily, it didn't rain only once or twice.
That was where he lived?
That's where he was hiding out for the summer.
Posted up for the summer, just
Yeah.
hanging out there.
And
then you stayed with him for a month?
yeah, my buddy Charlie and I stayed with him for a month. And first time I saw the Steve Miller Band, he's an amazing guitarist. Still remember that like it was yesterday.
He skis too.
Yeah.
I just heard a story recently, him in Crested Butte.
I don't think he skis Vail, though.
No, I think Crested Butte, yeah.
I've had, speaking of musicians, I've had Tommy Shaw as a client in the shop. Ted Nugent's been in my store. And
and then all the famous athletes too,
Yeah.
like Reggie Bush and all that. They've all
and
Come
movie
through.
stars. But yeah, it was fun. Ted Nugent was really fun. I saw him walking up the street, and so I stopped to talk to him. I just had given Johnny, my older son, a Flying V for Christmas. And so we're talking. I mentioned to Ted, yeah, I got my son this guitar for Christmas. He goes, there is nothing better than a bow and arrow and a Flying V. And so I said,
which you agreed, I'm
Yeah,
sure,
of
as a
course.
hunter.
So I mentioned I have a ski shop, and if you're skiing, come into my shop, I'll hook you up. He says, I don't ski. Charmaine, his wife, skis. And I said, well, I'll hook her up. So I come back to the shop within 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. He's walking in the door. I do a few photos with him, and we talk hunting, and I got a collection of hunting photos. And I showed him this nice whitetail buck I shot on our property back in Minnesota, and he goes, "That's a once in a lifetime." But he has a podcast on TV, a hunting show, and he was no different in real life than he was on his hunting show. Very, very vocal about some goofy stuff going on in Washington State with hunters, and we had a good conversation.
Yeah, cool. I did want to get you talking a bit about, hunting and lake life and your Minnesota connections, because like we started talking a bit about other sports and stuff, and I know, Hunter's got this talent for wakeboarding, and that all comes from you being able to spend summers back there.
Okay, we'll backtrack a little. When I got divorced, Johnny and Sarah, my older kids, were quite young. My mom was still alive, and I wanted my kids to meet my mom and know her. She was a very good person, very good soul. And that's really what got me started going back there. And after a couple weeks, maybe a 10-day visit, I'm going, Cal, I'm going back there for the summer. I mean, working all winter, I need to spend more time with my kids one-on-one to make sure they're raised properly. I didn't want teachers raising them and babysitters. So I started taking my summers off, raised the kids, and we bought a boat. I grew up water skiing, so I already had that in my blood, and they didn't have wakeboarding in those days, so we just water skied and did lake fun, pontoon.
But you grew up on the lake.
Yeah.
That
in the summer.
has been the forever lake of all time.
Yeah. So that's what really got us started going to the lake.
Because your dad had the water ski shop with scuba diving.
Yeah, the ski shop.
Snow
ski shop.
Yeah, ski shop with scuba diving.
Yep, he started one of the first scuba shops in Minnesota. Land of 10,000 lakes. There's probably 100,000 lakes. But he liked to dive, and the waters, our lake is very clean. You can see 20 feet deep, which is rare for a Minnesota lake. We had granite quarries where they mine the granite and then water fills up, crystal clear water. And we always used to go there and dive off the rocks.
Yeah.
But, there were some 80-footers. I didn't do those.
That's dangerous. There's undercurrents in those quarries.
No.
These ones are completely still because they're just flooded.
They're like a lake.
There's
just spring fed.
Yeah.
But,
right. So then you're going back there in the summers, and water skiing is your summer activity, right?
Ski every day all winter, water ski all summer.
Yeah. How many days do you get on your water skis?
Well, back in the day before my titanium knee, when we'd wake up before breakfast, if it was glass.
It wasn't just waking up. He would wake up the whole family with a whistle.
Whistle.
We're going water skiing. It wasn't just we wake up and we go water skiing. It was we're also in Airstream trailers. Out at the lake. This is before we had a house, so all of us kids, we grow up waking up to Buzz with his whistle, wanting to go water skiing because there was the parents' trailer and then the kids' Airstream trailer.
Okay.
On the edge of the lake, the same lake that Buzz grew up on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, that was kind of the morning routine, and
like a physical whistle or just
like a coach's whistle.
A coach's whistle.
Yeah. Dude, it was something else.
So
my buddies were
skiing?
scared to sleep over at my house.
Oh,
They're like,
they weren't scared. They just liked to sleep in.
Yeah, they'd be like, your dad was going to wake us up at 9 a.m. to go water skiing.
Yeah.
I think it was more like 8.
Yeah, probably.
So so you water skied then before you ever wakeboarded?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But I got into wakeboarding at 6 years old. And I'd water ski. I'd just be like, I'd rather go wakeboarding and do my thing, and the rest of you guys can go water skiing because you guys all love it.
And you would do that slalom ski?
Yeah.
They would do it like full moons. They would go out there.
Naked.
Yeah. Full moon naked water skiing.
The full moon in July.
Dude.
We would do that,
and then to this day, you still go out there and have the big...
And back in the day, you started water skiing behind these boats, and the property that we're now on used to have cows, and...
So there was a point, and these cattle would come out into the water. They would be about knee deep or so, and we'd ski and we'd spray them. Yeah, that was the thing. That just made our day when we could spray the cows.
Yeah, and then because his parents grew up on the lake, and then we moved.
So one day my dad made some homemade water skis back in the day because he water skied when he was young too. So I inherited that from him. But we took a pair of his old water skis and took the rudders off. And without rudders, they don't turn when you want to turn. They just go sideways and straight. So we're telling my buddy, spray the cows, spray the cows. So he goes over to spray them, goes to lay into the turn, and the skis don't bite. They just go sideways. He missed that cow by inches. Looking back at it, we might have killed the guy. You broadside a standing still cow.
Oh yeah, that's like hitting an elk out here.
Oh yeah,
Thank
God he didn't.
Yeah, jeez.
That was before the internet, so they didn't know the worst case scenario at that point.
Yeah,
well,
they were the worst case scenario.
Yeah, we were young and adventurous.
Okay, so then, but now, so so you water ski out there and you wakeboard out there, but at some point you get the crazy idea to try to bring those
mix the two
activities back here to Vail, right?
Yeah.
Well, then we go over to the covered bridge.
You started a family tradition with it.
Yeah. So we're looking at that Raging Water one spring in April. The mountain's still open. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was in the off season. No, the water's just raging. Yeah, it was not during the season.
Definitely probably about June, because that's when I did it as well.
Put a wetsuit on, and I had two of my dad's original homemade skis, because figured I need a lot of playing. They were wider and wider, longer.
He would make his own skis?
Yeah, he'd shape the wood, steam the wood to get the
cool.
tip. So we strung a water ski rope to the covered bridge, and we're skiing out there. It attracted, I don't know, 50, 100 people.
Yeah.
Made the cover of the Vail Daily, I think it was. And
the only cover I remember seeing, I could look for that one.
That was the Vail Trail, I believe. It's hung up in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll post that in the.
Yeah.
You'll see it pop up in here.
Because I remember seeing the one that you were on.
Yeah, and then Johnny also did it, and he also got front page of the paper. So
Johnny did it too?
Yep. On that old Liquid Force, because for about a year or two, we sold wakeboards out of the shop. There was a couple Liquid Forces, became a dealer, and
right.
Yeah.
So this is a bit like what you see today on those standing waves.
Yeah.
Where you're in one spot
using the rope.
But there was no
using the current
type wave.
Yeah, there's no wave.
So we needed a rope.
Just the current ripping through.
Right. Just the current, but you're in one spot. Yeah.
And then Hunter comes along, and he has to continue the tradition.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
I've done it multiple ways. I've done it with being towed off the bridge, and then I've also brought in, which is next generation, I brought in a 12 horsepower Honda motor connected to 1,200 feet of line, and I actually winched it closing day 5 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
Probably 5 years ago. 10 years ago?
Because Nick was there.
Yeah.
This had to be
10 years ago.
A few years ago when it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies when we're having fun, right?
Yeah. So, because the winch one, is that the year? The winch one, I think, was a Vail Daily covered it, right? Yeah.
Vail Daily put it on the cover.
Yeah.
And there was snow on the banks.
Yes, snow on the banks. That's so cool. Yeah.
And so, going to that day, first go in, I go to try to wall ride the snow and face plant directly head first into the river. But I'm wearing a dry suit, so I'm completely dry besides my head, hands, and ankles. I'm completely dry. All of a sudden, everyone thinks that I'm just going to be too cold to continue.
Yeah.
I go to start walking out the line, and everyone's like starting to pack up. I'm like, I'm not done yet. This is just the beginning.
You cannot end on
like, you guys might be colder than I am, and then all of a sudden we do all that, and then it's over, and I'm cold, but walking on the heated streets of Vail, my feet were tingling because it's so hot. It's like the heated streets are warm.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
But family tradition.
We've got all that on video, and
yeah,
we got his on video. Back when I did it, there was no iPhone.
Yeah,
and
they would have had to crank.
We
the
just
video
had pictures,
camera.
but it was I think it was a Vail Daily or Vail Trail photographer. That
pretty sure it's a Vail Trail.
We'll look it up. Yeah. Hunter told me that you got into speed wood chopping at one point, and you would do it in your flip flops.
That was I used
using that chainsaw with your flip flops.
In my younger days, I had a partner
back in the Airstream days.
No, I'm talking Vail first.
Oh,
I got into selling firewood in the summer, especially the fall. We had all that beetle kill that had started, and we started selling firewood. This partner and I, and we would sell 2 to 4 cords a day. I'd split by hand. He was a Swiss guy, so he was not too good with an axe or throwing, because if we sold it to somebody on a deck, he couldn't throw it. So I would heave the stuff up to him.
Is that a stereotype? The Swiss aren't good with an axe?
Or throwing. And And he couldn't catch either. I'd have to be ducking and dodging split wood that he couldn't catch. But we were selling 3 to 4 cords a day. I ran a chainsaw.
Yeah,
you can imagine how
always
much.
The entrepreneur.
It was called the Buzzsaw Firewood Express.
Speaking about being an entrepreneur, but the rock laying you also did.
Wait, we'll keep going though.
So that's
we'll get to that.
So I got very efficient with the chainsaw, like overly confident. So we're back at the lake one summer. I'm home alone, cutting up some little small trees, on the ground, and the damn chainsaw rolled. I was in flip-flops and I nicked my big toe. So I go wrap saran wrap around it because that's all I could find. My wife was picking up her mom at Minneapolis or in the airport. She comes back and I'm on the couch with my leg elevated. It was my left leg.
And I'm a little kid and I'm walking in on the trailer on this too.
And you're right. And I said, Lynn, I've got a little cut on my toe. Can you tape it up for me? She looked at it and going, you're going to the hospital. They thought I was going to lose my nail because there was a gash in my big toe. But they patched up good, never lost my nail.
They patched it up good. It was great.
My toe works just fine.
This is an exact example. Have you heard this bell curve with skill at something where you're most likely to get injured at the beginning or the end of your talent run because at some point you get so confident that you get overly confident, that sounds like that's what this was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I still cut wood. I cut several cords this summer back in Minnesota, oak. Yeah. But I wear boots now.
And you don't sell them out the
I don't sell
side
them.
of the air.
But we have a lot of campfires.
Yeah.
And bonfires. We have bonfires too.
So this is one of the many examples of you seeing a business opportunity and capitalizing on.
Well, yeah, that's.
Wait, what were you about to ask him about?
I don't even know.
The bricklaying?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. So you were doing the chainsaw stuff back in the day in Vail to make a side living, but you also laid a lot of natural found brick, which is still
stone. It was stone. We would go up in the hillsides. There's places to get red stone and yellow and brown.
Oh, yeah.
And I built several walls in Vail.
And there's one wall that still stands to this day. That's up.
Really?
Yeah.
Over by Streamside. All that rock work.
Oh, Marriott Streamside?
Yeah.
In West Vail?
Yeah,
really?
And in the parking lot, there's a little divider that we did all that.
And so for me as a kid, I remember seeing that wall and Buzz being like, I built that wall. Fast forward 10 years to that point of being a little kid to maybe teenagers. All of a sudden, the on-ramp to the highway is lined with matching rock to what Buzz did 20 years prior to that. So now the whole West Vail situation kind of probably stemmed from you picking natural rock.
Someone saw that wall and said, that looks nice. Make it look like that.
Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, you could be right.
Yeah. I remember that as clear as day as a kid because your wall was there before that retaining wall to the highway was there.
It was.
And that sandstone, I mean, there's, as you know, I live in Sandstone neighborhood. It's named after all that. And
wait a second, Streamside.
Yeah, it's Streamside over in West Vail.
Oh yeah. But I mean those different colored bricks. Like people think of Red Rock Country as being Utah, but like you go there, that's like beautiful red sandstone.
Well, on the way to Eagle, that canyon.
Oh yeah, Red Canyon too. Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, always the businessman, like finding the angles.
But it's cool to see that wall still stands to this day, and it's cool to see that the other few are still like they matched it.
Maybe we'll go put a plaque underneath.
Yeah, Buzz built this back in
wall
someday.
We did
Buzz
have
Schleper.
a little secret code. We called it rocket construction.
Okay.
ROCKIT.
-IT. Yeah.
-IT.
Yeah.
So we would always pick this rock that was wide at the bottom and narrow at the top that looked like a rocket ship.
Oh, and
we'd
put it
incorporate every stone structure we ever did has this
artful touch
somewhere in it.
Wow.
It was our trademark.
Oh, wow. Bringing an artful touch
See, that's
to
some
the word.
things
I like that. Yeah.
I've been your kid and I've never heard that till right this minute.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even on our business card, we had a rocket rock.
Yeah.
Well, kind of getting back to some of the business stuff, we mentioned just very briefly in the intro that you're now 40 years in business here.
41.
Right, 41,
Yeah.
exactly. Which, I think that's pretty remarkable in this town amid all of the mom and pop shops. It's hard. There's not many of them,
Well,
and there's been corporatization and everything else that's happened.
I think, corporations like Vail Resorts would just as soon see me gone.
Oh, yes. No, you're on their hit list for sure. Yeah.
But, I add something to Vail that they could never add.
Of course. Yeah. No, and it's a community and you just get such a sense of culture coming in here. But, I wouldn't mind getting your take on, and I don't know, maybe you don't want anything to change at all, but how do you imagine this place in 10 years from now?
Not much different.
Yeah.
To be honest, people always say, oh, you've seen so many changes. But the Vail Valley is only so big. I mean, of course, we didn't have Lions Head at one time, and we've extended that way. But in the buildings, the most change is buildings being rebuilt. Now, the mountain, we had Chair 5, and then China Bowl, and now Blue Sky. So the mountain has expanded that way, and they've gone from double chairlifts to high-speed quads and six-packs and stuff like that. But that's not a big change to me.
Right.
It doesn't seem like Vail has changed that much.
Right. And that's what you're hopeful with this business is that it's the same in 10 years as you get the same feeling of family and community.
When you walk into our shop, I want you to get the vibe that I smell wax. This is that ski shop I remember as a kid, you know. It looks like a ski shop. It doesn't look like a boutique.
Yeah.
We sell skiing. We sell fun.
Yeah.
And
smells like wax in here.
And snowboarding, and you get a different vibe in our shop. And I'm not just saying this myself. This is what customers tell me all the time.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe than you get from the other shops in town. And there are some family shops, Gorsuch, Pepe's.
Yeah.
Performance and Lion's Head.
I like going over here to Sasha at Vistabon. Yeah.
Vail Ski Tech. But, you get a different vibe than you get from, let's say, at Christie's, which is corporate.
Yeah.
Or a Breeze Rental.
Any Vail Resorts.
Or a Vail Sports Store. Yeah. I mean, this is run like a family. We want to make sure that anybody who walks through this store becomes part of our family. They when they walk out the door, they're going, I had a good experience, a great experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I've noticed too is you're able to retain your employees, which is such a problem here in Vail. And I honestly think that's when people talk about these changes and things, they're not necessarily talking about physical changes. That's what they mean is that, you don't see the same faces and it people rotate through. And
I threaten them. I threaten to break their legs if they ever quit.
No. But
that's why they're
opposite.
sticking around for 25
years. How many broken bones has Hunter had?
You're part of the cult once you start working here.
But what's for anyone getting into business and hoping to retain employees, what's your advice?
Well, I mean, you got to treat them right. You treat them with respect. You treat them like family, is what we do. They can ski and snowboard every day of the week. There's not a day they can't go up. I mean, every one of my employees that don't have kids, a couple of them have families, have been up 50 days already this year.
Yeah. And you insist on that, them getting out
we make sure that they get up every day.
I don't force them, but they want to. That's the kind of employees we hire. We hire employees that want to ski, that want to snowboard, and they have every opportunity. I mean, it's kind of a thing. It'll be 3:00 and I'm working and we're busy wall to wall and they're going, Buzz, you got to get up there. You're going to miss a day. I'm going, we're too busy. They're going, we got this. We got this. You got to get up there. We've all been up already. And I do the same for them too. It's you got to get up. You got to ski every day.
You got to get up to get down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. How many days do you have so far this season?
How many days has Vail been open? 57.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. So we're recording this on, what is it, January
4th.
Yeah.
January 3rd.
No,
4th.
Yeah. 4th. So, and you've been up 57 days.
57, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
And a couple of my employees have more than me because they skied Keystone or Breck before the season started.
Oh, right.
So, Ethan, he's been here for 26 years this year now.
Neil,
you've had some pretty crazy adventures with Ethan. Like all the ski shows and stuff, and him working here through before the internet era and all that.
So, yeah, when the ski show used to be in Las Vegas, Ethan and I would go down and do the ordering, and at night we'd go have a little fun. And one night we were doing some boomers and hitting the New York roller coaster, and we're in line, and Ethan does not like roller coasters. I don't know if he had ever been on one before, and we're in line, and I made sure he was in front of me, so we're the next ones to get on the roller coaster. He's starting to feel the mushroom.
The psilocybin.
And so he turns around and goes, I'm not going. And I got both railings, holding the railings, going, you're going. And got him on. He had a great time. He loved it.
And from ever since then, now, any ski show or anything it's definitely a hoot with the Buzz Boards crew.
So this was when Snow Sports Industries of America was in Vegas.
Was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, got it.
That was fun those days.
Oh, yeah.
Strip clubs, ski shows, gambling money.
I did want to hear some more travel stories. Hunter told me briefly about an incident involving the candy dispenser at the airport.
Yeah, that's one from Sarah.
Yeah, this is... So I'm taking Sarah to a race in Europe. And she goes, can I go back and buy some candy? And I'm waiting at our gate, and it's getting closer. She's not coming back, so I'm getting really worried. I go over there, and she had this vendor. She bought this candy, but she only had $5. This is years ago, so candy was cheaper then. And they wouldn't give her the candy because it was like $6. And I'm going, what? This little girl, just take some back. Give her candy. And this woman was just being not nice. And so I said, well, keep your candy. And I knocked a couple jars of candy back over the counter. Next thing I know, we're back at the gate. One of the security officers come up and say, were you the guy? Yeah. And I explained it to him. He goes, I could pull you aside right now. And I said, what, are you going to let my little daughter fly to Europe by herself? I said, that woman was trying to cheat my daughter. And he said, yeah, okay, you're right. And let us go.
Yeah, a lot of adventures with that. You have to travel so much when you have a kid who's into ski racing.
Yeah, you do. But, I think that's true with any sport. I mean, hockey or...
Yeah,
or
ski
soccer.
Racing, though.
Yeah,
Europe,
you go to Europe.
and Asia,
yeah,
and
right.
yeah.
But it was worth every adventure.
Yeah.
Well, so that was in an airport.
That was in DIA.
My very last question for Buzz is, have you ever been arrested in Vail?
I was once. Years ago. I had an employee. Cal, he still comes by. He's been in our shop a couple times this winter. We were going into what is now Shakedown. I can't remember what they called it back then. And he had been drinking a little, and I had been drinking a little, but I was not drunk. So there were some posters on the wall, some beer banners, and he snapped one, and it made a little noise, but didn't rip it down. And the bouncer was a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
To put it mildly.
Yeah.
And they kicked us out. They called the cops and said, "You're trying to tear banners down." No, we weren't. He flicked the banners. All he did. He didn't even tear it. Boom. We went to jail, and so I'm in jail, and I'm really hot because
arrested and taken to jail.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
For assaulting a banner.
And it wasn't even me. It was my buddy, my employee, Chris Graff. I'll give it away. And
shouts out Chris Graff.
Yeah. And Chris, he'll verify it. He'll tell you he was the one who flicked the poster. So I'm in jail, and I'm mad. I called the attorney I used for my divorce because she was a very good attorney. She goes, "Buzz, just sit it out. There's nothing we can do tonight." And I'm mad, so I figured out if I kept flushing the toilet, it would start overflowing. I had an inch or two of water on the jail floor, and finally they shut the water off to the whole jail section. Oh man, they let me out the next morning, and that jail guy he was nasty too. And he goes, "You can't."
He's up there mopping up the water.
He said, he brings the mop down and some towels. He says, "You're not leaving till you mop it up." I'm going, "Well, then I'll just stay here. I could use a nap anyway after last night." So in about 5 minutes, they said, "Get out of here." I never did mop it up. Then I go to court in front of Buck Allen.
Yep.
And I told him the whole story. He goes, "Yeah, I would have done the same thing. You're out of here. You're free."
Good old Buck Allen.
And then this kid, this bouncer
He's great.
Yeah. Then this bouncer that kicked us out of the bar, he ends up getting arrested a couple weeks later for stealing tires. I mean, this guy was a thug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And abusing his power.
Yeah.
Well,
you put
Buzz,
yourself around these kinds of people.
No, Buzz. He's always.
No wonder he's always worried about me because he's already seen it.
Yeah, I mean, like father, like son. Yeah. He calls power into question. You know. Yeah.
Well, I was innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, truly innocent. If I was guilty, I would have accepted the punishment and I wouldn't have flooded the jail. But I was innocent.
I think we should leave it off.
Yeah, that was
that
great.
was great, Buzz.
That was super fun.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in. Yeah,
it's been an epic one.
You'll have to tune back for the next episode because I'm just getting warmed up.
Okay, all right. Buzz Unfiltered.
Yeah, Buzz Unfiltered. Here
he was unfiltered tonight too. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next week.
We love you.
Absolutely.